Wisp Sports Radio, the voice of women in sport.
Hello and welcome to our Athlete Profile series with me, Chris Stafford. Wisp Sports is a global multimedia women's sports network where we believe women in sport deserve equal coverage. This is the show where we take a closer look at the life and career of a professional athlete. My guest today is Tara Geraghty-Moats, who recently has been on fantastic form in Nordic skiing. She continues her winning ways, and this past weekend, not only did she win once, she won twice, and she's going to be joining me here from Europe, where she's busy in the season, of course, over there, and talk about what's next for her with this fantastic form that she's on. She continues to lead the standings, and she wore the green leader bib in the 7th Continental Cup of the season, where 9 nations were represented by 20 athletes. And on the weekend, she was in 3rd place after the ski jumping on the 111-metre hill. For Tara, this is her bread and butter because she started when she was just 9 years old and was named to the visa development team by the time she was 15. And when she was 16, she did suffer a setback with 2 knee injuries, and the doctors told her that she wouldn't be ski jumping again. But she took 4 years off to do biathlon and Nordic ski racing, I guess by way of keeping fit and staying on snow. And in 2013, she took 5th place at the National Championships in Lake Placid. She's a multi-time medalist in junior nationals for cross-country skiing and was on the biathlon junior world championships team and the junior national team from 2011 to 2014. And when she's not on snow, she's mountain biking and trail running in the summer and teleskis in the spring, and she enjoys just spending time in her native Vermont woods. Well, Tara, thank you for joining me. Welcome to the program.
Thank you so much for having me.
Well, this is an interesting and exciting time in your season because you've been on such fantastic form, which we're going to talk about. But before we start, let's hear about where you are now and why you're transitioning from one event to another venue.
So I compete all winter long around Europe and really around the world skiing. And right now I'm in Slovenia, Slovenia. I just came from Rena, Norway. And next week I will be going to Seefeld, Austria for the ski jumping world championships.
Nordic Combined is your sport, and ski jumping is something that you've done from a very young age. My understanding is you were also almost sort of put on skis from birth. This is something that you've always done.
Yeah, I grew up in a family that skied, and I'm from Vermont, where in the winter there's a lot of snow, and we love skiing.
You certainly do. Well, it's become obviously a passion, a lifelong passion for you, but this recent form is pretty impressive. You've had a string of wins this season, this winter, Tara. Why do you think that is? What do you attribute that kind of form to? Because all athletes sort of go through highs and lows in their training and performance. Why do you think you're peaking now, and critically that you've been so consistent with your performances?
It's really a perfect storm. Nordic Combined is a sport that combines both ski jumping and cross-country skiing, and it's a male-dominated sport. It was in the original Winter Olympic Games. It was one of 6 sports in the original Winter Olympic Games, but only men competed in it up until very recently. So this is the 2nd year of the Continental Cup that women were allowed in. Because I always wanted to do Nordic Combined when I was about 10, I did both cross-country skiing and ski jumping. However, because I didn't have Nordic Combined as an option to me, my coaches held me to pretty high standards for both ski jumping and cross-country skiing. I got medals at junior nationals for cross-country skiing, and I was also on the national development team by the time I was 16 for ski jumping. So I was going back and forth between 2 separate sports as opposed to focusing on one sport of Nordic Combined. So that's given me the opportunity now at 25, when Nordic Combined is an international sport for women, to be at a very high level in that sport.
As you just said, it is a developing sport. So it faces its challenges really of exposure recognition by the wider sort of ski and snowboard community. What do you find are the challenges mainly for you? Do you have all the resources that you need as being part of the US team? Talk a little bit about what's available to you as an athlete in a developing sport.
My teammates are really supportive, and I'm lucky to be on a team that allows me to do both Nordic Combined and ski jumping, to be on two national teams at once, which is really unheard of. However, as you said, women's Nordic Combined is a developing sport. I wrote my own training program this winter. This summer, I had never actually entered international sport or an international event for Nordic Combined. So that meant I couldn't find sponsors. I couldn't really ask for time away from ski jump training to train purely for Nordic Combined. So it's really been a trial year, and a lot of training by myself, a lot of writing my own training programs, a lot of finding my own sponsorship money to start the year, and actually rehab from an elbow surgery. So definitely not ideal, and definitely something that I'm going to try to organize better in the coming years. But again, that's part of being in a developing sport.
What support do you get then from the federation, from the national federation, Tara?
I'm actually one of the few women's Nordic combiners in the world that I think is fully funded, which means that my NGB, USA Nordic, pays for my plane tickets to events. They pay for my coaches at events, and they pay for my waxing and transportation while I'm at events. Right now, there's no women's Nordic Combined coach full-time. There's a couple of junior teammates that I have, which is awesome, but they're still in high school, so I don't really train with them when I'm on the national circuit. And I do have a ski sponsor that I actually was my junior ski sponsor as well. And they were generous enough to sort of take a chance on me and take a chance on Women's Nordic Combined and give me skis for the winter.
So when you're at competitions then, who is with you if you don't have that coach and the full support of a team that you would maybe in alpine skiing? Who is with you to support you and I mean, with all the things that you have to do to prepare for competing at that level?
So the International Ski Federation, FIS, actually schedules the men's and women's Nordic Combined events together, which may seem like a no-brainer, but a lot of the ski circuits don't have, like alpine skiing, for instance, or ski jumping, they don't have the men's and women's event at the same time in the same place. So the guys team is really awesome about just letting me blend in with them. And I'm able to use all the same resources, same coaches, same waxing tools, and that's really great. But then my events aren't always at the same time, or I don't follow their schedule exactly. So when I go back to ski jumping or I'm training, I can't just follow them to Finland. Because say they go after Norway, they go to a different event, I go back to Slovenia, and then I'm training by myself. So yeah, it's like partial support.
So that must be pretty tough on you. You've got to be obviously highly motivated and determined. What do you think the biggest challenges for you are then at this point, even with the successes that you've been having?
I think the schedule right now for me is pretty insane. I haven't had a week off. Well, I've had one day off this year of no training, and I had Christmas week off, which was really nice. But I've been competing every weekend other than Christmas week since the first weekend in December. And I love Nordic Combined, and I do it because I love it. But it's not a widely respected sport for women yet. So, I mean, I even had a well-meaning teammate, turn to me and say, well, you're winning all these races because you're competing against 14-year-old girls who aren't experienced. And you could win these races with your eyes closed because you're such an exceptional athlete. And I've known this teammate for a while, and he is super supportive of Nordic Combined, and he genuinely is really happy that I'm doing well. But that comment illustrated to me sort of the uphill battle that I'm fighting, right? Because I'm not competing against 14-year-old girls. These are 16 to 22-year-olds. And these girls are, good competitors. We're all developing the sport of Nordic Combined, but they are at a pretty high level for both ski jumping and cross-country skiing. And I do have an advantage because I've been at a high level for cross-country skiing and ski jumping. But the real issue is that we need to just be there long enough so that people start respecting the sport and start viewing it seriously.
Talk about your time then in Slovenia on your way to the World Championships here. So you're there for how long, and what will you be doing, and who will you be coaching and training with?
So right now I'm with the women's ski jumping team, and I've been a member of the women's ski jumping team since 2015. And we are doing our last preparation here in Stanica, Slovenia for the World Championships next week. And I'll be cross-country skiing a little bit on the side, but I will not be training for Nordic Combined this week at all. I'm basically virtually not allowed to.
Oh, you're not allowed to? Now, who determines that you're not allowed to then? That's Team USA, is it?
Right. So for this week, the focus is ski jumping, and my jumping coaches are always concerned that, time on the cross-country course might take away from ski jumping training. It's always a balance to, as a Nordic Combined athlete, to balance cross-country skiing and ski jumping, just like it would be for a triathlete when they balance three sports. So the ski jumping coaches are always wanting me to jump more and focus.
So what would a typical day be like now? What, for example, did you do today?
So today I usually get up and I do a morning run, anywhere from 10 minutes to half an hour, and a little bit of stretching. And then actually today was kind of a crazy day. We went to the Russian embassy to get Russian visas for a World Cup later in the season. And then I went to the ski jumping suit factory to get a suit fitted, because the suits we use actually really affect how we fly through the air. So it's really important that you have a relatively new suit and also one that fits really well. So I went to get my suit fitted, and then we went to the ski jumps and had a training session for about 3 hours. Following that, we had a quick snack, and then we did a gym session for about an hour and a half, and then we had dinner.
And when you're actually practicing jumping, how many would you do in that time then? Give us an example of how many times you jumped.
So ski jumping, actually, you don't do a ton of repetitions, so you won't do like 50 jumps. We usually do between 7 and 10, 11 max of jumps a session. Each jump takes about 7 seconds. It's a pretty focused, well, it's extremely focused and composed. 7 seconds when you're actually sliding down the in-run and then in the air. But every jump takes about, I would say, between 10 and 15 minutes between taking off your boots, walking to the lift, talking to your coach on the radio, maybe watching videos, going to the top, lacing your boots, and then going down on that ski jump.
So how did you feel about your jumping today?
I was pretty happy. I was feeling a little bit tired from weights yesterday. We did what we call power training. So we do lower reps and higher weights in the gym. And yeah, I was feeling a little bit tired, but technically I was really happy with where my jumping was.
So when you look at the competition ahead, then you've got the World Championships coming up, total focus on your ski jumping. What will be your kind of preparation then come jump day, the actual competition? What would you actually do on that day? Would you do any practice jumping before?
So on competition day, you're not ever allowed to practice on the ski jumps. We do have a trial jump, which is sort of a test jump before the 2 competition jumps. So on an average competition morning, I'll get up and I'll go for either a run or a spin bike, and then maybe do what we call activation, which is some plyometrics, just a little bit of plyometrics, maybe some core strength, maybe some really light weights, just to wake your body up, make your muscles contract in the same way they would on the ski jump, sort of activate your balance sense. And then we usually take transportation to the hill and do our final technique preparation right before the competition, which we call that IMOs, or like visualization, or anything like specifically focused on technique. And we take about half an hour right before the actual competition to really focus on exactly what we want to do on the ski jumps, the exact technique that we're focusing on that day, the goals for the day. And then we'll suit up and go up the hill.
And what distances will you be jumping there then, Tara?
So in the World Championships, the women have a normal hill competition and a team competition, and then a mixed team competition. We don't, or we're not allowed to jump on the big hill yet in World Championships, which is sort of a sadness to all of us. The big hill is the larger 120 hill that we jump in World Cup, but not yet in World Championships or the Olympics. So we'll be on the 90 all Seefeld.
Okay, you'll be on the 90. Because what is your longest jump? No, it's over 120. Is that, what was it, 125, something like that? Or have you done more since then?
So in competition, my longest jump is 125 meters, and out of competition, it's 140 meters. So that was done on the
140?
Yes, that was done on the large hill, or what we call the 120.
And at what point then, from takeoff, or when you're about to take off, do you feel, or you sense that, okay, this is going to be a big one, or I've got it right in that moment?
Really good question. I can usually sense probably within 5 meters, 10 meters, because your flying arc is really different. So if I don't jump on time, which is a common mistake for ski jumpers, if you are early or if you're late, you're not going to get the maximum power down on the very end of the takeoff. So that if you have perfect timing, that translates into a lot higher height right off the bat, right over the knoll. So I feel higher right over the knoll, and then more acceleration over the knoll before the hill starts to go down. And once you really get over your skis, you can sort of feel accelerating into the jump and keeping your speed over the knoll, keeping your height over the knoll. And it really feels like flying if you get it right.
It must be an amazing feeling. I come from equestrian sport, and I'm comparing this, what you said, that anticipation of that split second when you know you've got it right. It's like jumping a horse when you go down to a fence. A good rider can see the stride and measure takeoff 5-6 strides away. And it's that knowing that you're going to hit it just in perfect stride. Then the bascule of the horse, the arc of the horse over the fence, is also going to be perfect. So it's similar in a way, isn't it, to that whole sort of momentum that you have coming down the hill, where you're going to take off and where you're going to arc and where you're going to land.
Yeah, it's exactly the same. And I'm sure with horses, just like with ski jumping, when everything falls into place, not only are you higher, but everything's more rhythmical. It looks better.
Yes.
And we're also judged in jumping on style as well. Obviously not as much as you are in equestrian sports, but that's something that the judges are looking at.
Yeah, it's just the whole thing. It's poetry in motion. It's the rhythm. I think that's the one thing I think is consistent in sport. It's the rhythm that you have, that you feel you've got it spot on. I suppose it's a bit like dancing or whatever sport you do. It's a coming together of everything at the right moment to just be ultimate in the second and for that performance. And it must be a thrilling moment for you. Is there at any point when you get to the top of that hill before you actually leave that you get nervous, or is it just excitement and anticipation of putting in your best performance?
I definitely think that competition has always helped me focus. And I wouldn't call it nervous, but anticipation is a really great way of saying it. I often have some of my better ski jumps in competition because that sort of heightened awareness you get from competition actually helps me which isn't true for every athlete. Sometimes people really struggle with technical sports, especially to have the same level in competition that they do in training, which of course, most athletes have had the feeling of having that perfect day in training and wishing they could do it in competition. So one thing I've been lucky with is really being able to have my better jumps in competition.
Perfect timing.
Yeah, exactly. Using that anticipation to do better.
So when you look at this season and how brilliant you've been and consistent this season, Tara, and you look at maybe previous seasons and the benefit of experience, the benefit of hindsight, the skills that you learn that come with practice and just competing, regularly, consistently, what do you think have been your biggest takeaways that you've put into this season, which have given you this kind of consistency? What have you been focusing? What have you done differently that's bringing you to the peak in performance right now?
I think just trust in my hard work, because I have had so many competitions where I've done badly or really, disappointed myself, and I really learned from my mistakes and really left those behind. And I also try to do that with doing well. So, learn from doing well, learn from your successes, but then, leave them behind. And just every competition is new. You're not going to jump well in one competition or win necessarily because you did well in the last one. You have to refocus and really go back to the basics every single time and just really keep things simple and focus on a couple of technical aspects that you're working on and not really worry about results. Whether they're good or bad, just trying to do my best every day.
Yeah, it's interesting you say that, because when you are consistent, when you win, even just if you win once, with that comes the confidence that you are on a winning form and that you can hopefully repeat that. You've continued to repeat that. But it's interesting you say that you go back to zero. You just zero the dial again before the next competition and then start afresh as if, okay, just because I won the last 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, I think competitions you've won this season, it doesn't mean to say that it's going to be applied to this next competition. So you obviously have a sense of balance and good mental preparation too. Has that come organically, or have you had help from a sports psychologist or from your team?
I think it's come pretty hard, actually. As a junior athlete, I was really mentally all over the place. I did biathlon for a number of years, which was shooting and skiing. And with shooting, it's 95% mental, and it's a sport that you have to be in an incredibly clear, focused state to do well at. And one thing that shooting coaches often say is whether you do well on the range and you clean a stage and hit all your targets, or whether you do horribly, because there's 4 stages in the race, you really have to leave whatever happened behind. And just go for consistency and focus. And that's something that I've really taken with me as an athlete. And just, if you've had a bad day, you're told to leave it behind. You're told to leave your emotions behind and start fresh. And I do that too with winning, because it doesn't really help to think about, well, what'll happen if I win 8 in a row, or, what will people think of me if I don't do as well in this race? I mean, really, I compete because I love competing and I love doing my best. And I feel like all I can ask of myself is to do the best I can that day. And it doesn't really matter what I did yesterday or I'm going to do tomorrow. I just want to do the best I can for that day.
Is biathlon in your future again? Do you think you'll circle back to it when you stop jumping, or do you don't think that far ahead?
Well, I at one point thought I was completely done with ski jumping because I had an injury, and the doctor said that probably my knee would not be good enough to go back to ski jumping, so I was sure that I was completely done with it. So given that, I'm going to say I really have no idea what is in my future. That being said, my goals are for sure looking towards the 2021 World Championships for Nordic Combined, and to continue ski jumping as long as I feel healthy and happy and love the sport.
Well, you clearly do love it. You're passionate about it. But how are those knees now? Because they must take a toll with every jump.
They're actually fantastic. I don't have any soreness or any lasting effect from my injury when I was 16, which I'm incredibly grateful, and I know that could change tomorrow. And for sure, being a high-level athlete does take a toll on your body, but I haven't really experienced any of the side effects so far.
Well, that's wonderful. I'm curious as to what you most take away from being a professional athlete then in the sport, Tara. What are your biggest takeaways? What do you most value about being involved in sport?
I think I really love the fact that sport brings people together, and the people I meet being a high-level athlete, the places that I'm able to visit with a context. So I get to go to places like Romania and Kazakhstan, and I'm not as much an outsider. I'm not coming there to watch people or spectate. I'm bringing a gift of performance to someplace I've never been before. So it's more of an exchange. I give my performance and I get to see a side of the world that maybe not so many people get to see, which I think is really special.
So here we are going into the World Championships. Well, and of course, this is going to be a busy time for you. Let's look ahead to the rest of the season then. What does it look like for you over the next few weeks and for the rest of the season? What's the plan?
So right now I'm in Slovenia, and on Sunday we'll drive about 4 hours to Seefeld, Austria. I will be there competing until March 3rd. And then I actually don't have tickets after that, but I most likely will drive back to Slovenia for a day and then take a plane to Russia, where I will compete in Nizhny Tagil, Russia, which is about a 6-hour plane ride northeast of Moscow. And I will do 3 Nordic Combined events there. Those are the last 3 of the season for me. The Continental Cup finals. After that, I will then switch back into ski jumping mode, and I will do 3 events in a World Cup in Nizhny Tagil, Russia, for ski jumping this time. And then we take a train to Tchaikovsky, Russia, for another weekend on the World Cup and the final events in the World Cup there.
And then what do you do when the season's over? Where do you come home?
Yeah, I get to come home. I haven't been home since November 20th.
Well, that will be fun. And so then you go back to your spring and summer play schedule then in Vermont.
Yeah. So I have a busy time at home, catching up with everything I can't do when I'm on the road. And then full-time training really starts again in May.
Right. Not much of a gap then. Very, very quick turnaround then. Just time to just sort of down skis before you pick up training again then.
Yeah, exactly. Most springs I usually have a job and or a couple of jobs and sort of organize my next year and make a budget and make a plan and figure out sort of what events are the highlights. Obviously this year was the World Championships, but next year we won't have a World Championships. So I'll have to pick out, what I want to do with my gear. And usually the spring is when I do.
Right. Well, in the meantime, of course, it's all eyes on Seefeld, where you, as you say, head to the World Championships there. What will be your own personal goals then at these championships, Tara?
This year on the ski jumping side has actually been pretty tough for me. The last World Championships I attended, I was ranked top 30 in the world. And this year I haven't had one single event in just the ski jumping World Cup where I've been top 30. So I'm hoping to make top 30, I think is my goal for myself. I've had some really close ones, 32nd, and I think that I've changed a couple of things in my jumping and improved a little bit, and top 30 is a good goal for me.
Well, we would love to hear about it. Obviously, we will follow you here at With Sports through the championships. And I'm wondering if I could get you to come back afterwards at some point and we will hear about it and tell your story again, Tara, on our Facebook Live show. Maybe we could hook up there.
Yeah, I'd love to.
That would be fantastic. Well, the very, very best of luck. I hope it goes well and you do achieve your personal goals and enjoy what you love doing the most. And I want to thank you for taking the time to come on the show. Really appreciate you doing this when you're so busy getting ready for a championship.
Well, thank you, Chris. And I really appreciate you taking the time to cover my story and also cover so many exceptional female athletes out there.
Conversations from the world of women's sports. This is Wisp Sports Radio.
And we'll post links to Tara's social media on our website with the show notes accompanying this episode. Just look for wisports.com and under Listen, you'll find Athlete Profile. It will be right there on the front page. So do take a look around the website whilst you're there and the other coverage that we do here at Wisp Sports, from articles to blogs to videos and, of course, our podcasts. If it involves women's sports, we cover it here at Wisp Sports. And you can join in the conversation at any time by emailing us to info@wispsports.com. And, of course, you can follow us on social media. We're just about everywhere at Wisp Sports. And do check out our face-to-face show on Facebook Live, where I talk to athletes and women involved in sport around the world. That's on our Facebook page. Just look for Wisp Sports and set your notifications so that you don't miss an episode. There'll be something for everyone there on our face-to-face show. That's it for now. Don't forget to subscribe to Wisp Sports wherever you listen to podcasts. Thank you for listening and supporting women in sport.